Paintball Gun Mart TV. Yes, it's an air gun. Yes, I'm talking about it. This is my FX Wildcat, and as they say, let me tell you a little story. In the 50s and 60s, when I was a youngster, I shot spring air rifles. Really loved them because that's what it was. Then I found firearms and just really forgot air rifles. And no disrespect to you guys, just I really like firearms. Many years later, when we started shooting sports in 2000, as the editor, I had to sub up all the articles, and the magazine's commitment was to have a dedicated airgun section as well as the firearms section to address both groups, which is a good idea. And over the years, I subbed up probably hundreds of articles on air rifles, PCPs, Springers, and of the two, I found the PCPs most interesting because I'm a bit of a tech head. And after about 10 years, I had an incredibly good paper knowledge of air rifles because I just read them, corrected them, and just stuff like that sticks in my head like a sponge. And in the end, I decided that I really fancied an air rifle, but I didn't want a 12 foot-pound gun. I wanted a FAC-rated version because I just really couldn't shake the fact that, yeah, you can kill well with a 12 foot-pound gun, no problem at all. I've done it myself, but the bit of extra pump and a bit of extra speed and everything, energy is what I really wanted, because I actually used a 20 cal rifle for a colleague of mine. He asked me to do a clearance job on rabbits near a horse paddock, and I had a great evening. I shot, I think, 24 rabbits or thereabouts, easily at 50 yards, just bowling over like I was using a 2-2 rimfire, but there was zero noise and no real problem with ricochets, all the things you can't do with a rimfire on an enclosed air shooting area. And then my best shots towards the end of the evening, I just thought I'd push it a bit. I was dropping them out at 80 yards before the light went, and that impressed the hell out of me. So I decided to get myself something, and I thought, I want a bullpup, but I want a proper bullpup. I don't want a bullpup that was a standard conventional rifle that a lot of bullpup air guns are, and they all got the cocking systems at the back, which is, to me, bloody awkward. So I got the FX Wildcat. This is a 2 in 2.2, because I didn't do a 20. I'd have got a 20 if I had one at the time. They didn't. They've done a lot of good work for me. So as you can see, it's a little bit non-standard, but we'll come to that in the end. There's a few bits I put in myself. So let's take a little bit closer look at it. The beauty of the bullpup is its short length. Compared to a normal conventional layout, the magazine sits well behind the pistol grip, and the rifle is probably 8 to 10 inches shorter, depending. Up front, you've got a shrouded moderator here, which is very efficient, works very well. Below it, as always, got your air cylinder with the almost compulsory air gauge at the front. This rotates here and shows you your filling point, which is, you say, a plug-in with a Foster type system. What really drew me to the gun was the side cocking action, but this is it. It's nice big side-mounted cocking lever, and typically it's a lovely smooth action. It goes back and you're ready to shoot. You can put it on safe. So getting up into the shoulder to do that is become something I've learned, but that's just the way it is. Obviously, being a bullpup, everything's much higher. This is like an aluminium 2-piece cheek piece. One thing peculiar to FX guns is what they call their smooth twist rifling. It's a system that was perfected some time ago, and basically, rather than the barrel being completely rifled, it's just, I think, the last 2 or 3 inches that are rifled. The rest is smoothbore. Apparently, from the experimentation, the people that designed it worked out that it's kinder on the pellet and gives more consistent velocity, and the pellet only needs to be twisted for the last few inches it's travelled, and the smooth twist rifling is really quite an advancement. Gun came with a standard sort of 11 type mil air gun dovetail, but I looked in FX accessory package, and they do a Picatinny, which I bought and just took the old one off. It's just a matter of unbolting. It's very simple, and I like a Picatinny rail because it gives you much better mounting options. And in it, I've got my very old Leopold VX2 3-9x50 scope, which has been to their custom shop. Trigger has an adjustable shoe. You can turn it left and right as you want to. It's a bit flappy when you go to pull it. As such, you see it's a little bit. It's all like first and second stage. You get used to it, but it's not a bad trigger at all. It lets off quite well. As such, The stock is semi-skeletonized, the pistol grip is nice, but overall it's a good looking gun and it does feel well in the aim. A couple of things I didn't like about it was, first of all, I've tested a few FX guns before with the synthetic stocks, and most have an integral moulded in Picatinny rail under the front for various things. This one didn't have it, and I didn't like the fact I couldn't put anything on it. So what I did, I got a section of Picatinny rail, angled it up on its base so it could fit properly, just screw straight into this, which is quite a solid synthetic, and it gave me like 3-4 inches of Picatinny rail, which I fitted a forward pistol grip to, which again, something I have in my AR-15s, I really like thing. I also wanted a little bipod, because you see the gun's quite deep, it doesn't need a long-legged bipod, so in the end I settled for a Spartan. It's a little Javelin Light. It comes in one of their Picatinny rail adapters. The bipod can unplug and you can turn it round so it doesn't traverse, or put it the other way so it does, and it has a lockable cant. And for a lot of, I just shoot most of my stuff off the bonnet or out the window of the Landy. When I'm off the bonnet, I tend to use the bipod a lot. It's really, really very useful. And if I don't want to, I just unplug it. Feed is from an 8-shot magazine, and just flips in there quite nicely. Fill pressure is an advertised 230 bar. As I recall, I think this gun gives you about 40 full power shots to a fill. And when I first got the gun, I had some FX pellets with it, which shot pretty well. But I've switched on to either a super field line. They're a 15.9 grain pellet in 2.2, and they do satisfy the needs of a 30 foot-pound air gun pretty much. So thanks to Ruag Ammo Tech for the ammunition, it's always appreciated. Okay, what do I think about the Wildcat? Say it's not the Mark II, it's the Mark I. I'm happy with it. It shoots well. Running figures, I was getting out of a 10-shot string, I was getting an average of 929 feet per second with an extreme spread of 9 feet per second. For that, you get pretty much 30 foot-pounds. It's got the energy, it shoots well. At 50 yards, it'll group to a ½ inch if I do my bit. I've had it out to 75, 80 yards on rabbits and things. There's a fair bit of drop on that what is nearly a 16 grain pellet. Out of interest, I fired at the bank at 100, and the drop is off the scale because it just went off my mil-dot reticle. So I've never pushed it that far. I don't think I would. So I think 75, 80 is more than enough ceiling for it. But in that range, it certainly gives you a lot more than a 12 foot-pound gun. It's short and handy. I like it for the car that way. Feeds well. 8-shot magazine, bit of a weird number, but I don't care. I've got 2 of them. It's just fine. The pellets work well. There's not a lot I don't really like about it. It's just sweet. I've had it for a few years now, and I use it reasonably regularly. So that's my thoughts on the Wildcat. So if you like what you saw, comment, tell your mates, support the site, and give me a shout if you want to speak about anything. It's pmore.shootingsports@gmail.com. And until then, good air gunning.